My name is Ricardo DelRosario. I come from a multicultural background. My mother is Mexican-American and my father is Filipino. My father was active military, mainly stationed on the East Coast during the 1960s and 70s. Neither my mother or father's culture was dominant in our house. We were exposed to bits and pieces of each of their culture, mainly through food and some of the language. But my parents adapted to the culture around them, which was primarily Anglo, and they taught us to do the same. It wasn't until the 1980s, when my father was transferred to Texas, that my exposure to the Mexican culture was at its height. I've since accepted the Mexican culture as my own. My exposure to the Filipino culture has been limited, to say the least. Filipino food is the only thing that I can really relate to. Growing up, my parents allowed us to express ourselves to the point of developing our own opinions on any topic that came up during family or public conversations. Their only rule was that we be respectful. They also allowed us to make our own decisions based on the premise that we think about the decision and utilize our best judgment. This in turn taught us to be individuals and independent people, providing us with an individualistic culture. A feminine culture was also instilled by both my mother and father. My parents were non-traditional. They taught us to run a household, do for ourselves, so that we wouldn't be dependent on anyone. The basis of a nurturing and caring person also came from both my parents. We were taught to do for others before we did for ourselves. Thank you.